Hi, boys and girls. My name is Miss Boswell, in case anyone doesn't already know me. I hope that you are having a great start to the summer. I miss seeing all of your faces at the Lemoyne Center so much, but I am really excited to be participating in Camp Challenge with you for the next few weeks. Over the next few weeks, I am going to be we're going to be discussing, doing things all related to science, and I'm really excited about it. So, okay, let's go ahead and get started with our activity today. So, um, today we are going to be discussing and learning about animals and their habitats. So I posted some pictures of animals that you're probably very familiar with. We have a tiger, a swan, an elephant, a panda bear, deer, and squirrel. These two especially, I know that you have probably seen by your house, by school, just like out in general. The other ones, probably not so much. Maybe a swan though. Okay, so before we get started discussing their habitats, I want to talk about what animals need. I want to know, what do you think animals need in order to survive? So I'll give you a second to think about it. Okay, so maybe you said something like water. Animals definitely need water to survive. Maybe you said food. This picture here might not be exactly what all animals eat, but just in general, they do need food. And they also need shelter. Animals need a place to rest, like when they're sleeping at night, or some animals even sleep during the day. They need a place to go. They need a home. And actually, if you haven't noticed, I guess animals are very similar to people because people also need water, food, and shelter in order to survive. Okay, so moving on to habitats. So it says a habitat is an environment where an organism lives. In case you didn't already know, an organism is just another word for, can be another word for animals. So the habitat contains all an animal needs to survive, such as food and shelter. So in the pictures over here, we have just a couple examples of some different habitats, different places where animals live. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into those. Okay, so the ones that we're going to talk about today are the Arctic. Arctic is a very cold place. We have the ocean. I'm sure people are pretty familiar with that. If you've ever been to the beach, like on vacation, you will have probably been in the ocean. We're also going to talk about the desert. It's a very hot place. We're going to talk about ponds, which are freshwater. I'm sure that you have seen ponds before, woodland forests, and tropical rainforest. So those are the ones that we're going to focus on today. All right, first one is the Arctic. The Arctic habitat is a very cold place at the top of the world where some plants and animals live and is made up of the Arctic Ocean, icy glaciers and tundra, or flat plains with no trees. So, as it said, the Arctic is a very cold place. So, there aren't going to be a ton of animals that actually can survive here just because of how cold it is. But some of the animals that do live here will be a polar bear, we have a walrus, wolves, seals, different whales, there will be different birds. These animals can survive here because their skin, I guess it keeps them nice and warm in the very cold temperatures, and they're able to find different things here to eat in order to help them survive. Okay, the next one is the ocean, which is saltwater. If you ever have been to the beach and you've gotten into the ocean, maybe you have accidentally swallowed a little bit of water, or you can even like feel it on your skin sometimes. It feels like very salty or tastes very salty. So it says within the ocean habitat, each plant and animal thrives in a certain smaller habitat within the ocean, depending on temperature and depths of the water. So this means that depending on where in the water you are, so it maybe maybe some animals live like in the super deep part of the ocean. Maybe they live on the edge of the ocean or something, but either way, there are going to be a lot of different habitats within the ocean. Some of them that you probably know for sure are dolphins, there's stingrays, we have turtles, and then of course all different kinds of fish live in the ocean. The next one I want to tell you about is the desert. Deserts are hot places that don't get much rain and are very dry. Because deserts don't have much water, animals that live in the desert are able to conserve water and keep their body temperature at the right level. So just like I said with the Arctic Ocean, the Arctic, I said that a lot of animals, not a lot of animals can survive there because of how cold it is. Well, the same thing is here, goes for here because of how hot it is though. However, of course, there are still animals that can survive here. Some of them will be coyotes, we have owl, snakes, jackrabbits, different turtles or tortoises, different hawks. So these animals, yeah, they actually have adaptations that allow them to survive in the very hot and dry weather. The next one I want to tell you about is the pond. This is fresh water, although I still don't really suggest drinking water from a pond. A pond is a little bit like a lake. A pond is small, quiet, and not very deep though. So some of the animals that you will find in a pond, which I'm sure many of you have probably seen before, are going to be ducks, different kinds of turtles, different kinds of fish. There are also going to be different bugs or insects like dragonflies, mosquitoes, animals like that. The next one that I want to tell you about is the woodland forest. This one you have also probably seen before, really just any type of forest with a lot of trees. I know that they're kind of all over. Excuse me. So the woodland forest is filled with trees. Because the weather changes with the seasons, the animals that live in forests have adaptations that allow them to survive in different kinds of weather. So animals that we are going to see in woodland forests will be owls, deer, squirrels, raccoons, foxes, bears, beavers. All right. And then the last one that I want to tell you about is the tropical rainforest. Tropical rainforests are found in warm places and are full of many tall trees and leafy plants. It's called rainforest because it also gets a lot of rain every year, helping all the plants grow. So some of the animals that we're going to see here are going to be different kinds of birds. So like we have a toucan and a parrot. We're also going to have different kinds of monkeys like these two here. There are going to be a ton of different insects and bugs. Like we can see a little butterfly over here. And this little guy, maybe it's some kind of dragonfly. But the rainforest has a ton of different animals because a lot of animals can survive here. Okay, so now that we have learned about all of the different kinds of habitats and some of the animals that live there, we are going to be taking a virtual field trip to go and learn about some other kinds of animals and maybe some of the things that they eat and see where they live. So it says, predict. Use the clues to guess where our field trip will be. There will be trees, we will need to go on a plane, and there will be many kinds of animals. All right, so let's take a trip to the Australia Zoo. All right, Australia is actually a very, very, very far place from us, but that's okay. It's still a zoo, and we're going to get to see a lot of different kinds of animals. It's going to be really exciting. But first, we need to ride the bus to get to the airplane. All right. Hold on tight. 3, 2, 1, liftoff. Okay, So our plane is taking off from the United States of America. We live kind of in this area here, and we're going all the way across the ocean to Australia. Okay, we made it. So again, we're going to predict, make a guess. What will we see at the Australia Zoo? You can actually kind of have some hints over here. Looks like a crocodile or alligator. We have a tiger over here. We have giraffes. Okay, so these are going to be some animals that we're going to see. We're going to see a rhino, kangaroos, crocodiles, and koalas. So as we go through this virtual field trip, I want you to pay really close attention to see if you can find these animals and maybe even take note of some of the things that they eat or maybe where they live, what their habitat looks like.
G'day and welcome to Australia Zoo. My mum and dad grew the zoo from when it was only a really small reptile park to what it is today. Isn't it incredible? Let's go check it out. At Australia Zoo, you can meet all of these awesome animals. So we've got a little macaw here, we've got a really beautiful little koala, and we've also got an awesome alligator. Have a look at this. At Australia Zoo, it's always hands-on. This little girl here is an Asian small-clawed otter. They're pretty cute, aren't they? But when Dad used to come in here, this was actually one of the few animals that he was actually terrified of, because whenever he came into their enclosure, they would actually sort of start attacking him, which was pretty funny. But now they're a lot more settled. See you later. Oh. Have a go at our gorgeous Aldabran tortoises. And I always think that if the food isn't good enough for me, then it's not good enough for the tortoises. You want some? See you later, guys. Modern day crocodiles like those guys were a whole lot different 75 million years ago. They were this size and ate dinosaurs. This is a Sarcosuchus. A Sarcosuchus was a 12-meter long predator. That's 40 feet. My dad absolutely loved dinosaurs. In fact, he even made a documentary about them. And when you come to Australia Zoo, you get the chance to climb one of these amazing reptiles. Whatever your favourite animal is, when you come to Australia Zoo, you're definitely sure to find it. Now, my sister Bindi's favourite animal are these guys, the echidna. Now, the echidna are really, really fascinating because basically the most obvious thing is these incredible spikes. With their food, what we've got is we've got kind of like a mixture of squished insects, mincemeat, olive oil, all kinds of things. And when you come to visit, you can actually visit these guys. And what we'll do, if you're game enough, we'll actually put the food on your toes, and then the echidnas will actually come along and lick the food out of your toes. So it's pretty fun. G'day, Bindi.
Hey, Robert, how are you?
Hunter. Oh, look at our gorgeous little tiger cubs. Aren't they just awesome? So these little tiger cubs, just like me and Bindi, are the next generation of Australia Zoo. Welcome to Africa. Our savannah is as big as Africa. Here at Australia Zoo, even the littlest people can meet the biggest animals. So this guy's DJ, and he's a massive 2-ton rhino. He's awesome, isn't he? Kids from the age of 12 can come and visit Australia Zoo and feed our zebra. Crikey, it's the only place in the world that you can do it. Now, there's actually more than one way to feed a giraffe. Good boy, Forrest. So this here is a little water dragon. Now, when you come to the Australia Zoo, you'll often see these little guys running around everywhere, all over the zoo. And they're actually wild, so don't think any animals have escaped. When you come to Australia Zoo, you can't pick these guys up, you can just enjoy them from afar, because I am a trained professional. Hey guys, how are you going? I absolutely love wombats. They're so cool. They're kind of like Australia's bulldozers of the bush. And did you know that they're actually the closest relative to a koala? One of my favourite things about them is if you look here at her little bottom, it's actually, if you feel it, it's really, really hard. And what that's designed for is when a predator comes along, she'll actually burrow down and then she'll press her backside up. And then since it's so hard, the predator actually can't grab it. But what's also incredible is these guys can actually run so fast. They can run up to 40 k's an hour. So they're pretty amazing. Welcome to the Australia Zoo Wildlife Hospital. We're the busiest wildlife hospital in the world. We've treated over 51,000 animals. Let's check it out. Now this is a gorgeous little koala named Classic Kenny. So he was actually unfortunately hit by a car and he broke his arm. But you can see here, this is called an external fixation device. So that's just there on his arm and that'll help him recover really quickly. So it's really sad because that's what we see very often, is koalas being hit by cars. And they'll also often be attacked by dogs, so it's really sad. And we actually get around 90 koalas a month into the wildlife hospital. So this little blue-tongued lizard was actually brought in by our rescue unit because she's actually been attacked by our dog. The rescue unit actually goes out every single day and rescues all of these animals.
Okay, that was awesome, or at least I think so. So I really hope that you think so too. We saw a ton of different animals there. Hopefully you caught those 4 animals that I asked you to look out for. Wonder if you guys remember. They were kangaroo. We definitely saw some kangaroos. Koala. We saw a couple koalas, and that one with his broken arm because he got hit by a car. That was so sad, but at least he's getting better, right? A crocodile. So it looks like we saw a couple, and we even got to see him throw. I don't know exactly what he was throwing, but he was feeding the crocodile, probably feeding him some kind of fish. And then the rhino. We also saw the rhino. So that was really interesting because we got to look at and learn about some animals that we might not typically know about since Australia is so far away, but some of the habitats that those animals live in. So like for example, a kangaroo. Let's go back and look. Let's see. Let's go ahead and take a look back at our habitats. Whoops, sorry. There we go. Okay, so yeah, I don't think that we saw any animals that are going to live in the Arctic. They might have some there at their zoo, but it didn't look like we got a chance to see any. I also don't think that we saw any animals that live in the ocean. Again, they might have been there and we just didn't see them. Animals that live in the desert, pond, woodland forest, and tropical rainforest, we definitely saw animals that live in those. For example, we saw a snake, we saw kangaroos, we saw crocodiles, we saw koalas. So these animals are going to live in forests, ponds, deserts, places like that. So, all right, that was awesome. Let's go down here. Okay, so now that we have finished our virtual field trip to learn about some different animals and learn about maybe their habitats, or like we got to see some of the things that they eat, I want you to tell me, what was your favorite part? So I want you to, down in the comments, I want you to comment, and I want you to tell me your favorite part about the virtual tour. Maybe you can tell me what your favorite animal to learn about was. You can tell me maybe you thought something was really funny. I thought it was really funny when he had that, he was like chasing that one lizard around, and he said that they're actually wild, so like he said, don't worry about if you see them walking around the zoo, because like they haven't escaped. They just run around like crazy. I don't know, anything at all that was your favorite part. I want you to comment down below, and yeah, I will see you guys next week. I hope that you had a lot of fun on our virtual field trip to the Australia Zoo. Bye, everyone.